Have you ever paused to ponder something curious? Jesus Christ and his disciples walked through entire cities, announced the kingdom, healed the sick, and changed history. But a question arises that almost no one asks. How did they support themselves? If they didn't work in trades, if they lived on the road, if they dedicated themselves only to the mission, where did the coins come from that paid for food, lodging, and even the alms they offered? The answer is surprising, and it can transform the way you see God's providence even today. In Jesus' time, the economy was based on copper and silver coins, and for the wealthiest, gold. Daily transactions happened with simple coins like denarii or asses. Jesus and his 12 disciples, along with some close followers, formed a group that needed food, clothing, lodging, and in some cases, donations to help the poor. We are not talking about luxury, but rather the basic necessities of survival. And that's precisely where a support network came in, which the Gospels reveal in a surprising way. One of the most interesting records is in Luke 8, 2-3. It says there that some women, such as Mary Magdalene, Joanna, and Susanna, helped Jesus and his disciples with their own means. Think about it. Women who had financial resources, some even connected to influential families, put their own resources to support Jesus' ministry. They didn't just listen to the message. They invested in it. It was as if they were true sponsors of the mission. Another revealing detail is in the Gospel of John. We discover that Jesus' group had a money bag where offerings and donations received were kept. Judas Iscariot was in charge of this bag. John 12, verse 6, and John 13:29 show that this money was used for two things: to buy food and supplies for the group, and to give alms to the poor. This proves that Jesus did not reject the use of money, but knew it was a tool for the mission. Besides coins, there was another type of sustenance: hospitality. Wherever they went, Jesus and the disciples were welcomed into the homes of simple families and also people of higher social standing. Martha, Mary, and Lazarus, for example, offered their home as a place of rest. This shows that the mission was not only sustained by money, but also by relationships, hospitality, and love. Another point to consider is that many disciples had professions before following Jesus. Peter, Andrew, James, and John were fishermen. Matthew was a tax collector. It is very likely that in the beginning, they used part of their savings for the group's sustenance until donations became the main source of provision. Of course, in some cases, Jesus himself showed that sustenance could come supernaturally. A famous example is in Matthew 17, verses 24-27, when Peter is instructed to fish and finds a coin in the fish's mouth sufficient to pay the temple tax. This miracle, however, was not the normal way of sustenance, but a powerful sign that God would provide in any circumstance. The way Jesus and his disciples lived teaches us something profound. They showed that God's mission is always sustained by God, whether through donations from generous people, hospitality, work, or even miracles. Jesus did not accumulate riches, but he also did not despise material resources. He used what he received to provide for the group and also to help those in need. So when someone asks, where did the coins that sustained Jesus and his disciples come from? The answer is clear: from people who believed in the mission, from resources that were organized responsibly, and in special moments, from God's supernatural providence. This leads us to reflect. If even Jesus himself relied on human supporters to fulfill the mission, imagine how God can use you and me today to sustain life-transforming causes. Because in the end, true wealth is not in the coins, but in the purpose they can serve.